Thanks for checking out this video. So this is about what is coming to Shudder for January 2023 to kick off 2023. A lot of fun. This was a bit more difficult than usual. I'm wondering if it was because of all the layoffs that occurred within AMC and Shudder itself. Last week, I actually got the email that they typically send out of all the updates, and that usually includes like a bunch of other streaming services that AMC owns, like All Black, AMC Plus, IFC, Acorn, stuff like that. So it had that, and then for Shudder, it had three things. So I emailed back and I was just like, this can't be it. It's never just this little bit. And they're like, well, those are the only highlights we have right now. We'll be sending out more information later. Okay. Now, I'm assuming it's not coming through at any point before January. So I have been interacting with someone else who's supposed to set me up for the screeners that I get so I can review Shudder exclusive and original films before they come to Shudder. And that person has informed me that they are having technical issues. So I don't know if that applies to them knowing what they're going to have on the streaming service as well. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. I do know, though, that this means I don't know when I'm going to have my reviews out for Shudder original and exclusive films. Normally, they come out on a Thursday, and I'll have the no spoiler review out on that Monday. At this point, if it's not out on Monday, it's because I did not get the screener yet, and I don't know how long this is going to go on. Don't know. This could be a side effect of the layoffs throughout AMC and Shudder, because what I will tell you is for a while I was dealing with people specifically at Shudder, and while that was the case, I had absolutely no problems getting my screeners, no problems getting the information on what was coming the next month. Then I got passed off sometime, I think it was earlier this year, to some people who work just for AMC in general. And I was like, okay. And they did a really good job, except these last few months, actually, it started to become problematic. And then now I've been passed off on people who work for IFC, which is owned by AMC. So I haven't been able to actually work with someone who actually works for Shudder for some time now. So I don't understand it. And it makes me wonder if people are being vastly overworked because the same amount of work is there and they have a lot less people. So this is a problem. But we'll see how problematic it gets. Sorry for just rambling about this, but I also figure this is information people wanted to know. So my stuff having to do with Shudder is going to be a little bit in flux for right now while they have their technical issue. Okay, so basically I pieced together everything coming to Shudder. My contact with IFC actually did just email me a list of the films, so there was no description or anything like that, only the dates and the titles. So I went ahead, copy and pasted every synopsis from IMDb. So here we go. Coming January 1st, the following two films. Lake Mungo, which I highly recommend, especially if you like found footage. Even if you don't like found footage, because I'm not a big found footage fan, and I thought this one was really good. Strange things start happening after a girl is found drowned in a lake. Shouldn't know too much about it going into it. It is a wild ride. It is very good. Also coming back to the service because they had it before, Near Dark. A small-town farmer's son reluctantly joins a traveling group of vampires after he is bitten by a beautiful drifter. It is a good film, especially if you like vampire films, especially if you like a very different kind of Western-ish take on vampire stuff. The next three films are coming January 2nd. Undead. A quaint Australian fishing village is overcome by meteorites that turn its residents into the ravenous undead, leaving a small group of those unharmed to find a way out. I saw this film many years ago, and I remember thinking it was okay. I might have to do a revisit on that. They are re-adding one of this film that I really enjoy. I own it on DVD, and I love this film. And actually, Joe Bob Briggs covered it, so the Joe Bob episode will be going back up. Cue The Winged Serpent, the Larry Cohen film. NYPD detectives Shepard and Powell are working on a bizarre case of a ritualistic Aztec murder. Meanwhile, something big is attacking people of New York, and only greedy small-time crook Jimmy Quinn knows where its lair is. Highly recommend. Michael Moriarty is amazing. If you liked him in The Stuff, you will love him in Q the Winged Serpent. Great stuff. It's a Larry Cohen film. It's always good. And then We Need to Do Something. I don't know anything about this one. After Melissa and her family seek shelter from a storm, they become trapped. With no sign of rescue, Melissa comes to realize that she and her girlfriend Amy might have something to do with the horrors that threaten her family. Sounds kind of interesting. Then the next two films are coming January 5th, and these are probably the two films I most highly recommend for what's coming to Shudder. Possession is the first one. Just recently did a review of this one. It is outstanding. A woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after asking her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something much more sinister. This film needs to be seen to be believed. It is wild, it is extremely well acted, and this is definitely a big-time hidden gem from the 80s. Then the other film that I highly recommend, a film from last year, and I think probably my favorite horror film that came out last year, The Wolf of Snow Hollow. This is by Jim Cummings. Shout out to Jim Cummings, who writes like the tightest scripts I have ever seen put on the big screen. Oh my goodness. So, The Wolf of Snow Hollow. Terror grips a small mountain town as bodies are discovered after each full moon. Losing sleep, raising a teenage daughter, and caring for his ailing father, Officer Marshall struggles to remind himself there's no such thing as werewolves. Excuse me, my apologies. COVID leftovers. It's a really well done film. There is a comedy aspect to it. Jim Cummings' acting style takes a little bit of getting used to, at least it did for me, but then you settle into it. It's a great film. Definitely check it out. The next two films are coming January 9th. Dawn breaks behind the eyes. A couple spend eternity in a castle until their reality starts to shift as the unknown moves into their lives. Pretty vague. I don't know. Countess Dracula. In 17th century Hungary, elderly widow Countess Elizabeth Nadasdy maintains her misleading youthful appearance by bathing in the blood of virgins regularly supplied to her by faithful servant Captain Dobie. Yeah, this sounds a lot like Bathory is what it is. Coming January 12th, Season 1 of The Chucky Show, which I highly recommend this show. Even if you're not a Chucky fan, even if you haven't seen any of the Chucky films, you should definitely watch the Chucky Season 1. Season 2 is also good, but Season 1 is phenomenal in my opinion. After a vintage Chucky doll turns up at a suburban yard sale, an idyllic American town is thrown into chaos as a series of horrifying murders begin to expose the town's hypocrisies and secrets. The film, that shows it's very, very, very well done. Okay, the next two films are coming January 16th. Take Back the Night. Finding herself the victim of a violent monster attack, Jane launches a vigilante campaign to hunt the beast that tried to kill her. Jane's efforts intensify, but her troubling history of drug use and mental illness bubbles to the surface, causing her family, community, and authorities to question the authenticity of her account. Suddenly alone in her fight, Jane starts to doubt her own memory of the attack, to doubt if monsters exist at all. That sounds kind of interesting. Might check that one out. And then the next one is called Road Games. I hope I got the right one because they didn't give me a year and there's two road games. So this is the one I chose. This is the one I hope it is. A laid-back American truck driver in South Australia starts to suspect a man driving a green van of killing young women along his route and proceeds to play a cat-and-mouse game in order to catch him red-handed. That sounds fun. Would check that out. The next one is January 19th. This is supposedly one of the screeners I should be getting, so hopefully everything's working at that point so I can put my review up ahead of time. This one is Sorry About the Demon. A young man struggling with a broken heart learns that his new place is full of restless spirits. That's it. Pretty vague. The next film is coming January 23rd. Let the Wrong One In. A young supermarket worker discovers that his older brother is a vampire and must choose whether to help him or slay him. That sounds kind of fun. I saw like the cover art of it. It looked like it was potentially comedic. So if that is the case, if it's a comedy, I'm into it. And then Isolation, also coming January 23rd. On a remote Irish farm, 5 people become unwilling participants in an experiment that goes nightmarishly wrong. Okay, maybe. Then one film coming on January 26th. This is also a film that I'm supposed to get a screener for, so we'll see. This one is called The Lair. When Royal Air Force pilot Lieutenant Kate Sinclair is shot down over Afghanistan, she finds refuge in an abandoned underground bunker where deadly man-made biological weapons, half human, half alien, are awakened. That sounds interesting. And then the last two films are coming on January 30th. Interested in both of these for sure. One of them's been on my list for a while, and the other one is pretty new, so I don't know. I have been interested. So, Death Spa. That's the one that's been on my list for a while. They're getting Death Spa. Heard it's so bad it's good. Gruesome deaths begin to occur at a hip Los Angeles health club. That's it. That's all I need to know. I'm in. And then the last film coming, also January 30th, In Search of Darkness Part 3. If you know about In Search of Darkness, that's the very long documentary that has been about horror films in the 80s. And this is the third part that they are putting out. Conclusion to In Search of Darkness trilogy. This chapter involves straight into video horror classics populated the bottom shelves rental store. Imaginative, gory, experimental, and entertaining, these hidden gems are ripe for rediscovery. That sounds like a cool angle to take for this final one, so I'm definitely into it. I saw the first two, really enjoyed them, so I'll definitely be watching this one. I'm sure it's going to be super long like the other two were, but anyway, let me know what you're excited about down in the comments. Like I said, hopefully these technical issues, I don't know what they are, get solved, and I start getting my screeners, and things get kind of back to somewhat normal with my dealings with Shudder, because it's been a bit frustrating, I will say that much. But anyway, thank you for checking out this video. Go ahead and put some comments down there. Hit subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell button, all that jazz. Totally appreciate it. Until next time, keep it brutal.